All right, today we're jumping into one of the most powerful and, honestly, challenging stories ever told. We're talking about the second trial of Job, a story about cosmic wagers and just how much a human being can take.
The whole story really boils down to this one huge question. What's the breaking point? How much can someone possibly go through before their faith and even their sense of self just shatters?
So our story actually kicks off not on Earth, but way up high in a kind of celestial court. That cosmic bet over Job's faithfulness? It's back on the table. And believe me, the stakes are about to get a whole lot higher.
And just like we saw in the first round, the angels appear before the Lord, and who's with them? Satan, of course. The Lord starts the conversation with this simple question, and Satan gives the same old answer. He's been wandering around the earth, just watching.
Now, just listen to the tone here. It's full of confidence, almost pride. It's like God is saying, "See, I told you." He points out that even after Job lost absolutely everything, his integrity is still totally intact. And get this, he even says it was all without any reason, which is a direct admission that what happened to Job was completely unjust.
Let's just hang on this word for a second. Integrity. It's everything in this story. This isn't just about what Job believes in his head. It's about the very fabric of his character, his moral core. And that is what's really being put to the test.
But Satan? Yeah, he's not buying it. He basically argues that the first test didn't go far enough. He says losing possessions, even family, that's all external stuff. The real test has to be personal. It has to be physical. It has to hurt.
Skin for skin. It's a pretty brutal, ancient saying, right? Satan's whole argument is that, at the end of the day, self-preservation trumps everything. He's convinced that the second Job feels real physical pain in his own body, all that piety will just evaporate, and he'll curse God right to his face.
So there you have it. The two sides of the bet are laid out crystal clear. On one side, you have God's complete confidence in Job's character. On the other, Satan's cynical prediction that he's going to fold under pressure. The stage is set.
The Lord agrees to the test, but he lays down one critical rule. Satan can do whatever he wants to Job's body, his flesh and bones, but he can't kill him. And this is so important because it means Job has to endure the suffering, not escape it.
And just like that, with the green light from above, the scene snaps from the heavens right back down to Job. The consequences are immediate and they are absolutely brutal.
And the suffering is just total. We're talking painful sores breaking out all over his body, from the soles of his feet to the crown of his head. He's so broken down that he's just sitting in a pile of ashes, a symbol of complete despair, using a shard of pottery to scrape at his own wounds. It's an image of utter devastation.
And who's the first person to witness this horror up close? His wife. You have to remember, she's lost all 10 of her children too. She's been through the same fire as him, but it's led her to a totally different place.
Wow. Her words just cut right to the bone, don't they? They come from a place of absolute hopelessness. She looks at him, still holding on to his faith, and she doesn't see strength. She sees insanity. Her advice is basically a plea. Just give up. End it. Curse this God and let death be your escape. Okay. And this is the moment of truth. This is the climax of the test. Job is at his absolute lowest, in physical torment, emotionally shattered, and now his own wife is telling him to give up. And he finally speaks. His response is just profound. He doesn't just say no. He completely reframes the whole idea of faith. His question challenges this idea that faith is just a transaction, where you're goods, you get good things. For Job, a true relationship with God means embracing it all, the good times and the terrible times. And right there, the story gives us the score. The verdict is in. In the face of all this agony, Job held on. He didn't sin with his words. Satan's prediction, it was wrong. Again.
So Job has passed the test, but his ordeal is far from over, because now a whole new group of people enter the scene, people drawn by the terrible news of what's happened to him, his three best friends. We've got Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar.
They all hear what's happened, and they arrange to meet up and travel together. Their goal is simple: go sympathize with their friend and try to comfort him.
But when they actually see him, their reaction is just visceral. I mean, he's in such a horrific state that from a distance, they don't even recognize him. And when it finally clicks who they're looking at, they just break down. They start wailing, they tear their clothes, they throw dust on their heads, all signs of extreme, profound grief.
And then they do something pretty incredible. They sit down with him right there on the ground, and they stay for 7 days and 7 nights. Just think about that. A full week.
And the reason for their silence, that's the really powerful part. It wasn't an awkward silence or because they had nothing to say. It was a choice. They looked at Job and they understood that his pain was so huge, so overwhelming, that any words would just feel empty and cheap.
And that's where this chapter leaves us, with this really powerful, lingering idea. It makes you wonder, right? When someone's pain is just too big for words, when there's nothing you can say that will make it better, is the most compassionate thing you can do just to be quiet and just be there with them?